Hello everyone, and welcome back to T-Photo. As you can see today, we have a fantastic location, just beside a lake about 15 minutes outside Glasgow Airport. We're also shooting in black and white. I love shooting in black and white. Some of my favourite photos I've ever taken have been in black and white, so I'm really excited to shoot today. I just went for a wander at first. I didn't know the location super well, and I stumbled upon these 3 trees at the side of the lake. One of the left was dead, the other 2 were alive. I decided I wanted to try and capture them, but wasn't sure how, until I saw this image here. I had to abandon the tree on the left. The immediate correct choice was to shoot the little hut, it's a little fishing hut, through the 2 trees. As soon as I saw this, I was really excited because I knew you can't really go far wrong with a composition like this. It was just a case of finalising the image and trying to find out how much space to leave between the trees and the side of the image. In the end, I settled on leaving about 30% of the image width outside of the trees. I think this provided the perfect amount of balance in the end. For the second shot, I decided to go for something a little bit more complicated, a little bit more technically challenging. I took about 5 steps to the right and shot the sun through the same 2 sets of trees. This is an incredibly high contrast situation, and I had to bracket the image as a result. This was the first image out of the brackets. I decided to shoot for the highlights and try and expose the highlights in the first hand. And then for the second image here, I decided to shoot to expose for the water, and the third one would be for the grass. The idea here is to combine the 3 images in post so that we can get detail and exposure in all of the parts of the image, not just the parts that are in and out of focus. This was the one I got that demonstrated the composition the best, but is definitely not the one we'll go with in the end. For this photo, I decided to shoot something across the water again. I really liked the way the wee hut looked across the water, and I went for a simple rule of thirds composition here. This image didn't look like anything special at this stage, and it didn't look anything special really until the edit on it was finished. I decided to shoot it multiple times again, but this time it wasn't to try and get the exposure correct or to bracket it, it was to try and get the shutter speed correct. The shutter speed in relation to the water can create a very, very different effect. I'm always chasing detail and texture in black and white photos, and sharpness. That's the 3 things: detail, texture and sharpness every time in black and white photos, because you need the visual impact. You don't have the colour to support the images, so it has to be a much more dramatic image. And to get that drama in this image, I decided to use the water. I wanted some ripples in the water, but at this stage when I was shooting the photo, I wasn't sure whether it was going to be a ghostly smooth lake or a really choppy lake, so I decided to shoot both and everything in between, and I eventually decided on shooting it with medium waves or ripples on the water, and this is what I went for. As you can see, it doesn't look like anything special at this stage, but it does improve. I had to leave after this, so I came back the next day and I decided to head to the left this time instead of going up the hill, and I saw these 3 boats that were moving around in the water. It took ages to try and get these boats to line up perfectly, so when they did, I went for just a really simple image. 1 shot, one shutter speed on a 80 to 200mm lens instead this time, so a bit more punched in, but just a really simple image. And here it is. I'm really not happy with this one. It lacks visual impact. There's nothing wrong with it. It's maybe a bit too wide, it's maybe a bit, the tripod was a bit too high, there's not enough foreground. I'm just not happy with it. So moving on, I know there's some islands at the back of this lake, so I headed up towards the right. This is where we took the first set of images, and the trees are on the left here. The 3 sets of trees are on the left. So I decided to head up past this way and try and get our last image here. There was some nice flowers on the ground that formed part of this image in the end, These are bright yellow, as you can see they're in the foreground here, but they show up as white on this image, and this was the composition I went for overall with the island in the background. I'm really happy with the way this turned out. This is a strong second place when compared to the first photo. So this is what we got overall after 2 days of shooting. The image on the left is the one definitely that I'm the most happy with. From a composition and exposure point of view, it's perfect in my mind. I'm really happy with it. The second one I'm concerned about. I'm not sure whether it will pull through or not. It depends on how the bracket works out. I've seemed to have included the darker one here instead of the lighter one, but this was a medium image out of the three with the water exposed. In the centre, this is the image that I didn't think would turn out so well. At this stage, I'm not going to dismiss it, but at the same time, it's definitely worth an edit. But I'm not sure where it's going to go or what it's going to do. It seems to turn out here a little bit underexposed as well. Okay, so in the edit, I went for simple editing again, as usual. It's just a case of a bit of contrast, a bit of exposure, a bit of sharpness in Lightroom, and a bit of vignette as well. I always forget that. Just to bring a bit of life to the images. I'm not much of an editor. I prefer to shoot the images than to edit them. Eventually, someday, I will do some more complicated edits, but for most of the images today, it was just a simple edit. And the bracketed image got a little bit more of a more interesting edit in Photoshop, just to try and play with the exposure a bit. And here are the final results. So what we have here is the first image. This is the one I'm least happy with out of all of them. This is what it became. I'm not super happy with this. I feel like my editing let me down and I didn't fully capture the different tones in this image. So this is where we got to. I'm not very happy with this overall. For the second one, this is the one I wasn't happy with. At the start, I feel like it got a bit better with editing. It's maybe a little bit dark in the foreground. In the end, I won't do anything with this photo. It's one of those photos there's nothing wrong with, but I wouldn't look twice at it, and the edit didn't help it. So for this one is a strong favourite for today, and this is the edit. I added some contrast, I changed the exposure slightly and added a vignette. This brought out the colour and the contrast in the image, I think, really nicely, and I'm very happy with this one. For this one changed completely in the edit, my opinion of it. I think this is 100 times better after editing, and I'm so happy with how it turned out. This is the strong second best for today, absolutely. And for the last image, and my favourite image of the day, we managed to get this. This I'm the most happy with. I feel like it's exposed nicely. The only thing I would say is it's a little bit high contrast. It became very over contrasty very quickly in editing. But overall, I'm really happy with it. Thank you so much everybody for watching. We'll be back soon with some more videos.